I'm Jessie, and I work at Amnesty Australia. And I used to be sort of a digital generalist, and about 12 months ago I became, can you hear me if I stand here? Is it okay? Yeah. About 12 months ago I became sort of a social media specialist, so I have like a much narrower field now, which is great in some ways because I think social is a really powerful tool, and it's great that Amnesty's investing in it and saying like, yeah, this should be someone's like full-time job. And about a few months into it, my boss sort of pulled me aside and she's like, how's it going? And I was like, it never stops. Like, it never stops. And she's like, yeah, it's always on. It's like always on campaigning. I was like, yeah. And we had a long talk about how, you know, I feel like you read a lot of best practice stuff about social. I read a lot of best practice stuff about social. And I'm like, yeah, but how can you do that? Because it never stops. It's like, jump on trending topics, reply to people straight away, have amazing shareable content all the time. I'm like, Amnesty comparatively is like a big, rich charity. How is anyone meant to actually do this effectively, you know, without employing like 100 people to do social media? So I'm really into sort of actionable tips, and apologies if any of this is really obvious. I feel like some of it might be, but it's good to get a reminder. So these are my top, based on what I've learned over the last 12 months, these are my top 8 actionable tips for social media sanity and success. So unless you have a load of extra time and or money, I think you probably shouldn't have an account on every channel. And I think you should exist in as many places as it's possible for you to do well. And for reference, doing it well means at a minimum you have a plan for how to maintain that channel, and you have a strategy for what that channel is meant to deliver for your organisation. So working hours. I think it's important to have some real talk, like #real talk, about whether 9 to 5, Monday to Friday is fit for purpose. So if not, explore alternatives. For us, our social media engagement happens mostly later in the day. So I currently work a 10:30 to 6:30 Monday to Friday week, and I take back hours during the week that I sometimes spend working on weekends. And I know of other organisations in Australia where they've played with things like they have one member of the team that every 4th week works like a Wednesday to Sunday day. So at any given time, they have at least one person working over the weekend. So like that's a way that they moderate the channels. But I think it's a conversation that we need to be having more about work hours and what is actually makes sense. So creating good original content is really hard work. So we need to remember to tell our best stories again and again. And I think this means everything from republishing tweets, rehashing blog posts, recutting video footage, and also always looking for opportunities to curate before we create, because chances are someone has already made the thing you want, you just need to find it. Number 4. Okay, so sometimes campaign developments are unexpected, but actually often not as well. And I think if a politician is due to make a decision relating to your issue, prepare content in advance for a likely outcome, like a win or a loss. And another thing I've found really helpful is to create generic reaction content that can be as simple as like a branded moving GIF that says, hooray! Because content like that, I just have sitting on my desktop now and it's ready to go at a moment's notice. So this is another thing. Like in 2016, I don't actually think social media can be siloed in 1 or 2 people's job descriptions. Yeah, I had a conversation the other day where someone was like, that's social media, that's your job. And I'm like, you're a campaigner, that's your job. Like, some of social media is my job, but in some ways social media, it's like, it's no one person's job to answer the telephone. So I think help your staff and volunteers build up healthy social followings themselves as individuals so they can be tweeting when your organisation can't. Pick a flavour of social media management software and set up a workflow that allows everyone to help manage your social channels. At Amnesty, we're actually trialling a pilot program at the moment. We're training up a group of volunteers from our activist base, and we're going to help them to help moderate all of our social channels on a roster basis from like the comfort of their own home. Because all you need is an internet connection really to help. And that's also really great in a country like Australia that's really geographically big. It's a way for people to play like a meaningful role, even if they're not living in a major city. Okay, so I think we need to recognise burnout in ourselves and others and do what we need to do to stay effective. So for me, I've learned that that means using a different app to check my personal social media on my phone than I do for work, so that I don't get sucked into like debating with trolls on date night. It means like not sleeping with my phone next to my bed, and it means saying no to some out of hours requests that just aren't mission critical. So tools are great. So obviously seek out tools that empower non-techies to do it themselves. One of my latest favourites is something called Canva. I don't know if you guys are familiar with. It's actually a really good Australian company. And it's basically simple drag and drop graphic design software that is perfect for making social media graphics that don't look crap. And another one that I'm using at the moment is called Group Tweet, and it's sort of an if this then that style plugin that allows a lot of our staff to retweet themselves automatically via our organisational Twitter account just by including a specific hashtag. So I encourage you to check those ones out. Finally, I would just say, when you're an organisation that can't be online all the time, which is all of us, rest easy knowing that your supporters can be. So love them, empower them, arm them with the right tools and information, and they'll take care of things while you're away. Thanks.